So thank you so much, Alicia, for agreeing to chat with me today. I'm super excited to talk with you. I think I found you on TikTok. Um, at first, and I thought I really resonate with your content because it's all about manifestation and getting in the flow and just living that yummy, juicy life. So yeah, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So, hello, my name's Alicia. I, I have been studying and practicing and teaching manifestation for it's my eighth year now. And it's one of my favorite things in the world to understand how to co-create reality because I see within myself and within just people in the world how we make life a lot harder than it has to be. And we can really get into this flow and this rhythm of being supported and living a life that's deeply magical and beautiful when we do certain things, when we really learn how to speak the language of energy and live in a way that really supports what we want rather than what we don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm excited to talk with you about today is tapping into that magic. Can you share a little bit about your journey and how you came to find that within yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I struggled a lot
Mm,
my whole, I'd say, like adolescence, early adult life with a lot of things. I had
mm,
really intense social anxiety.
yeah.
I struggled a lot with my relationship with my body and self-confidence and men. And at the time, I didn't even realize until many years later that I was surrounded by, I'd say 99% of my friends were really judgmental and mean and would make fun of me or bully me. But it was all I knew. It was all I knew until I started to learn that I eventually I reached this rock bottom moment where I felt very alone and very depressed. And it was almost my birthday. It was the day before my birthday. And I just looked back on my prior year and I broke down crying because I promised myself on the year prior that this next year would be better, that this next year of my life would be amazing and better and I would change. But actually, it not only stayed the same, but got worse. And I
Mm.
remember I just broke down crying on my floor in my bedroom, and something happened in that moment where, well, I went to Instagram to numb out, as we do. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm feeling too much. I need to scroll. And I saw this post about self-love. And I don't remember who posted it. I don't remember the words that were said, but something in me clicked. And I felt this aha moment of, wait, I can love myself from the inside out. Like, I don't need to keep trying to be perfect, doing all the things, like trying to exceed my parents' expectations. And at that time, I was in graduate school, like trying to be the best student and, burning out, working all day long. While at the same time starving myself and over exercising, trying to have the perfect body. And I was trying to make everything in the outside world be perfect so that
Mhm.
I'd feel love. And in that moment, I was like, wait, I can feel that from within myself? Like, what? And I think God came into me in that moment and helped me feel a little bit of that love because I remember this visceral shift of like, whoa, like there's something happening within my body. And I began to follow that. Whatever that feeling was, whatever that voice was, I just began to follow it step by step. And it led me to different teachers and programs and coaches and healers. And I began to learn to love myself from the inside out. And as that began to happen, my life began to evolve. I began to attract friendships into my life that were so loving and supportive. And I I vividly remember it when this happened for the first time. I was like, this is crazy that women like this exist that are so loving. Like it was this wild moment. My mom was very loving, but I never experienced that in female friendships of deep love and like seeing me and hugging me and holding me. And I'm like, this is so crazy. And it was this aha moment that as I was loving myself more, love was just naturally coming into my life more. And around that exact same time, one of my girlfriends sent me Abraham Hicks, who teaches law of attraction. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing. I've been shifting my inner world and my outer world was shifting. And again, around that exact same time, before I was sent Abraham Hicks, I was working with personal training clients. And I knew I wanted to take them deeper. Like as I was loving myself more, I wanted to help them love themselves more. So as I was helping them love themselves more, their lives were changing. It was like, yes, a lot of them were losing weight quicker than they had anticipated. And beyond that, they weren't as focused on that anymore because they were loving themselves more. They were attracting dream relationships, moving to new states that they always wanted to live in, dream jobs. I remember one of my clients was in her mid 50s and she was struggling with late night eating like her whole life. And that just stopped from her loving herself more. And she had these friendships that were toxic, and this power came within her to just let them go. And it was no longer a big deal. And so all of my clients, like their lives were evolving from shifting their inner world. So then when my friend sent me uh, uh, that new world of law of attraction and manifestation and energy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing. This is what my clients have been doing. And from that day, that was in 2019 when I started learning about law of attraction. From that day, I just have like deep dived into it, quantum physics, like all the things. And now I feel like very masterful in the energy world, which is really fun.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's amazing that you've dived so deeply into yourself, and I can really, really resonate with a lot of struggles that you went through in the beginning. So I've dealt with a lot of social anxiety in my life as well, and overcoming that and imposter syndrome and all of those sort of things. But you're absolutely right. I think when you tune in and you just start loving yourself, that's when you see that ripple effect outwards and things start changing. And you
Mhm.
don't have to force, you don't have to strive, you don't have to control. Things just start changing naturally, um, which I think is amazing, really.
Yeah, to me, I feel that there's this infinite field all
Mm,
around us. And this field is very intelligent. Some people
yeah.
call this the quantum field, God, universe. We can use different names. I say choose what resonates with you, what lands with you. And this field, we see it working in the world. Like we see it working in nature, right? If we look at nature, right now I'm in Costa Rica. It's the most biodiverse country in the world. And sometimes I'll just sit outside and I'll just watch. Like I just saw one out of my window, a hummingbird.
Mm,
Somehow the hummingbirds know where to find the flower with the nectar that's for them.
interesting.
And then every day at sunset, um, this group of monkeys, this family of monkeys comes to our tree right here. It's cute. I feel like they come to watch the sunset.
Oh, that's
Mm.
cute.
Yeah. And then we see like the deers. Somehow deers know how to find a stream. Somehow
Yeah.
whales know how to travel thousands of miles
Mm,
to warm water to give birth. And
yeah.
it's through this field of intelligence that is guiding them. And us as humans, I think it's really easy to forget that we are part of nature. We are animals. Like we are one with this field of nature. But when we're stuck in our heads, we can cut ourselves off from that connection and we can feel that we're not connected. It's an illusion that's created by the mind. And when we develop that self-love, we come more into the heart. And when we're
Mm,
in the heart, we're connected with that field and we begin to be guided. We begin to have that effortlessness that happens in nature where it's like, oh,
mm.
that thing, then that thing, then that thing. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it ended up happening.
Yeah. Something I've been thinking about and sitting with recently is the concept of our nervous system being like an antenna, right?
Mm,
And obviously, when we've got trauma and things, it's like the signal gets sort of blocked and we just can't hear, you know? And that's why when we're doing that deep work in the heart, it's kind of, we're removing some of that static, some of that noise. So, like, we become like a clearer channel almost. Do you sort of like
mm.
resonate with that?
Yeah, I absolutely resonate with that. You know, when our nervous system is in fight or flight, or we have a lot of trauma that either keeps our nervous system in that state or keeps us looping in emotions and things of the past that aren't actually present in reality now, um, it completely can block the signal and it can cause us to not be able to hear that inner voice, not be
Mm,
able to relax deeply enough to, um, you know, we're one with the universe. We feel that more when we're deeply relaxed. And some people never, ever, ever deeply relax. It's really common. I mean, there's this statistic saying that 80% of the American population is in chronic stress
mm.
24/7.
Yeah.
Um, and we're not meant to live in that state.
No, I feel so strongly about this. And just going back to your point about animals, animals don't rush. You never see, somewhere an animal like rushing to get somewhere, unless it's obviously like hunting for prey or something. But yeah, I think nature just goes at such a slow pace, and that's the natural pace of our nervous system. And I think, yeah, the world is so sped up that can make us feel more frazzled than we really need to be. And I don't know about you, that the biggest thing that's really helped my nervous system work is meditation, is just slowing
Mm,
down, just slowing down.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I mean, for me, there's so many things I could share that help me support my nervous system. And for me, it really depends on what I'm feeling. Like sometimes I'm too slow and I actually need to create energy. Sometimes it can feel so good to relax and lean back that a part of me can get stuck there. But like that's not what I'm meant to be doing. Like it would be like the deer just laying there when it's hungry and thirsty and it knows it needs to go do something, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So that's why it's important for people to get to know their nervous systems and their intuition and feel like, do I need to energize my system or do I need to soften and relax? And I find most people are kind of on one end of the spectrum. There are people who have that really healthy balance, but if people are struggling, then they may be too hyper aroused, like their nervous system is too activated, so they need that deep rest. And then other people are too hypo-aroused, meaning their nervous system is like too asleep and they need to take action and do something and like get the energy moving.
yeah. That really makes sense. Um, Moving on to like synchronicities. I obviously connected with you more recently about the reel that you posted about your hula hoop story, which
Yes.
was a really interesting synchronicity because you posted it, I think, literally a few days after I'd just posted a video saying, I want to talk about synchronicities. And so I really enjoyed your story. I wondered if you wouldn't mind sharing it. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a fun little synchronicity. So I'm trying to remember the details. So basically, oh my gosh, I don't even fully remember the details. The
So
thing is go ahead.
from what I remember is that you really wanted to do hula hooping. Um,
Okay,
and
yes,
you
I
found
remember.
some,
I remember.
yeah.
Yes. So this is so fun when things like this happen. So I lately have been guided to do a lot more work on my computer. And I started working with a friend who has this really successful coaching business, and then I'm building this new thing in my own business. And it's so fun. Like, I feel this effortless flow where I could be on, like, yesterday, I was doing things from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. My day was full, but it felt effortless. It was amazing. It was that flow. However, because I'm doing so much and my mind is so active that when I'm not creating or giving, I have this feeling of just like wanting to soften into my feminine energy. Like it's my favorite place to be. And one thing that helps me get there is dancing, moving my body, just no thoughts, just letting my body move. And I always had this, like when I feel that and I start dancing, I'll put on Shakira or something.
Mhm.
I have this thought of, I think it'd be really cool if I knew how to hoop. Like not just hula hoop, but if you've heard of
Yeah,
hooping, it's cool. Like you kind of throw it in the air and you do all these cool things.
yeah,
And
it
I've
looks
thought
cool.
this, yeah, and I've thought this many times throughout the years, but it's such a passing thought. I never think about it for long enough that I go and like order a hula hoop or have someone teach me. It's just a simple thought. So I remember I had that thought. And then, I forgot about it. And the next day, I go to this coffee shop and I'm doing some work on my computer, and my neighbor happened to be there sitting next to me. And then he ended up leaving at the same time I wanted to leave. And my friend had dropped me off. So I said, Hey, can I ride home with you? He's like, Yeah. Let's go to this electronics store before we go home. So we go into this electronics store, and all this electronics store sells are like speakers, headphones, chargers, like it's fully electronics. So he gets the charger he needs, and we're standing there at checkout and we're waiting because she's pulling up something on the computer. And he looks to the side of her computer and he pulls up a hula hoop. And he's like, What's this doing here? And I'm like, a hula hoop? This is crazy. And the lady working behind the counter said, We've had those two hula hoops here for so long. I have no idea why. Like we're an electronics store. So he hands me one. He takes one. We're like trying to hula hoop in the store. It was so funny and fun because we were both very out of practice. And then we buy them. And I take it home, and I just had this like aha moment. This just, no, it wasn't even an aha moment. It was just this feeling of, like what a beautiful synchronicity. Like this is how life
Mhm.
is meant to feel, magical and synchronistic. And things happen like that all of the time. So it was cool that I shared it and it connected with you. That inspires me to share more stories like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm pivoting the channel to be, to talk more about everybody's synchronistic experiences and the science behind it, and just bringing it all together really, because I think the more that we focus on these like magical synchronistic experiences, I think the more that they'll occur in our life, and the more that that will help humanity awaken to this underlying connection, this thread that runs through everything, this intelligence
Mm,
like we were talking about, really. And
yeah.
it's my favorite topic. I could talk about it forever. So, yeah, it's a fascinating story. How have you got on with the hula hooping? Are you? You practiced?
It's right here. I just noticed it
Oh,
was right behind me.
I like the
Um,
clip.
a slow burn, I'd say. Now I can just normal hula hoop, which is nice. Sometimes I'll play music and I'll just kind of be in flow, but I want to take like proper classes and learn. I haven't taken that step yet.
But it's interesting, isn't it? It's like when you think about something that you love and then something comes on the path and then you get that moment of synchronicity and that connection. It's that feeling that wow, this was effortless, I
Mhm.
just thought about it and then it was there. And that's like the new paradigm, isn't it? Compared to the forcing, the struggling. And I know that you've been there as well, where everything feels like an effort and an uphill battle, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's been like a huge common theme amongst all of my clients, even this new client session I had last night, friends, where because there's so much noise about reality creation, that has become the new hustle, the new force, where I call it people in law of attraction recovery, where and I've been there where it's this um, people have turned energy work into a way to try and control reality completely. And that's not what it's meant for. That's actually that what that does is that creates blocks. It blocks the flow. Um, and it creates another level of stress and anxiety where if something doesn't work out the way you thought that it would, oh, what's wrong with me? What was wrong with my energy? What did I do wrong? How, like, we create self-blame. We stop trusting ourselves. We stop
Mm.
trusting the universe. And then we're micromanaging our energy field all day long. Okay, I need to do that practice, and then I need to do that, and I need to do that. And if I don't do everything perfectly, then I can't attract what's meant for me into my life.
Yeah.
And I call BS on all of that. Like, that is that what that's doing in the field is it's creating this excess importance. We're putting our desires and our vibration on such a high pedestal. And what we need to do is we need to reduce the importance and take all of that off the pedestal. We are already a match to living in that flow and being guided and being supported. And yes, there are tools and practices that can shift our feeling and our emotion and that can help us call things in with more speed. But when we put the pressure on time, it has to happen in this time or it has to happen in this way, or if I don't do it, then I'm not a match. It's like every time we are planting our seeds of intention into a garden, every time we think that and we believe that, we rip the seeds out. And we could, it's like, it's kind of like if we're growing a garden of maybe carrots or, yeah, we'll go with carrots. What we need to do is we need to plant those seeds and then just water them and give them sunlight each day and let go of the timing of how long they take to grow. And we water them and we give them sunlight through positive intention and faith. Faith, faith, faith. That's the true miracle maker. And
Yeah.
and commitment. Like we don't just water them once and leave for a year. We keep watering them, taking that inspired action, but letting go of the pressure. We're not standing out there in the garden staring at our carrots saying, you need to grow, you need to grow, you need to grow, and then like dumping too much water on them because then they may
Yeah.
die, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're also not picking the seeds out saying, well, you haven't grown in 2 weeks, so now I'm going to remove the seeds and replant them. Like
Mm.
that is not a masterful gardener. And that's how people are kind of putting themselves in a position with what they're creating in their life.
Yeah, for sure. And also, it's like not the self-blame either. Like, I'm a terrible gardener, these carrots haven't grown. When it's
Mhm.
like, everything's in divine timing. And just have patience, like you say, and have faith. And that is why I've renamed the channel Surrender in Faith, because it is letting go, but in faith. That's the key thing, isn't it? It's like having that intention, but just sort of letting go of the attachment to the outcome, needing it to be a certain way and needing it to be a certain time.
100%. I love that you call it that because that is the formula. Surrender, but not so much that you give up.
Yeah.
Surrender and have faith. Let it come, let yourself be guided, let the timing unfold when it's meant to, and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Because once it is here, you're going to look back on all these beautiful memories. But also, once it's here, there's going to be a new thing that you're being guided to create. It's not like it's going to arrive and then you just
Yeah.
sit there and you're happy for forever. Like, there's always going to be more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's just brought up a thought, actually. I saw one of your pieces of content the other day where you shared quite vulnerably and you said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am. You had that chapter of your life where it was all really about manifestation. And I've had many of these. It's like a death and rebirth cycle, I feel that, like, something comes through you and you're like so passionate about it, but then the energy like sort of peters out, and then you're like, well, what the fuck? Like you're in this like vortex of, you know. Can you resonate
Hmm.
with that?
Can I what?
Resonate with that feeling of like, yeah, being in that limbo.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I created that maybe a month and a half ago, and I'm so grateful. I was so lost and like not knowing what direction to take for like a full year. And
Mm,
now I'm praising the Lord that I am so clear and it feels so good. I feel like what happened was I joined this 2-year energy healing program. And when I joined the program in the beginning, I thought, you know what? At the end of this 2 years, I'm going to be such a master manifester. I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Like, I'm going to learn all these tools to create reality exactly how I want. And the program dissolved that part of my ego that had that drive and whatever was rooting that that desire, it dissolved. And it felt like I had all this fire and a bucket of water was poured on it. And I just kind of was like in this space for about a year where I would feel connected to God and the divine and would feel so peaceful and loving and amazing. But there was just that. There was no like moving forward. And I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for guidance. And what happened when, around that time when I created that video that you're referring to, I realized, okay, I've been waiting for guidance, but what if I can shift into a reality where I'm clear and where I have that fire again? Because I realized it had been so long that I was kind of looping in this story and I was
mm,
creating it. So what I began to do is I began to just, um, anytime my mind would go there, I would say, actually, no, I'm an Alesha that's clear. That's so clear. That's present. That loves what she's creating. That loves what she's doing. And I didn't know what that would be, but I just began to step into that version of me. And um, it was really cool because there was a part of me that was wanting to pressure myself with all of
mm,
these tools and be like, you need to visualize and do this and do that and do that. But there was this deeper knowing of actually you don't. Like just align with the identity and relax. Like stop making it so important that you do any tools. Stop making it so important that you even have clarity. Like when we put too much importance on anything, we block the flow. And it's been so amazing since then. Like everything's been unfolding, and it kind of feels like I'm walking blindfolded. I'm just being guided, and I'm taking the next courageous step, not knowing how it will play out in the puzzle of life. Yet I look back over the past several weeks and every piece is creating a puzzle. And I'm just like, this is wild. But I'm not planning it from my mind, it's just unfolding.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to just celebrate that courage that you've shown, you know. It takes a lot of courage to sit in uncertainty, especially when
Mhm.
you're a content creator and, people are maybe thinking, oh, what's Alicia doing? What's the next step? And you're like, I don't know, it's
Mhm.
coming through me. It's going to be revealed, and you're this blindfolded person taking that next step and trusting. And that takes an enormous amount of faith, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, it really does. And yeah, courage because I think we always have a choice when we're being guided to something in the unknown, and it's you can feel if you are being guided to take a leap without knowing where it will take you. And there's been so many times in my life where I felt that feeling, but I was really afraid of the unknown, and I just would kind of wait for that intuition to go away, but it never does. So then I just have realized like I kind of have two choices. I either am courageous or I'm miserable and stuck. Like there's no other option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Um, and when you choose that courage and you choose that faith, that's when you get into the flow and those things do start happening for you. But it's taking that choice, I think, from love over fear.
hmm.
Right? Felt it in myself is that it's that breaking through your fears one by one, and there's always more and more and more to work through, I think. And then you sort of like expand what you feel is possible for yourself every time you do that. Um, yeah,
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Things feel so scary, especially the first time you take action. I remember the first like big inspired action I ever felt was to start posting on social media. I was in college and I was really into fitness. I wanted to share about what I was learning. And I was terrified of what everyone would think of me. Like that wasn't a thing that happened back then. So after ignoring that voice, it kept coming up. So eventually, during break, when I was at home, I created a new Instagram account and I made a post. And I was like, no one needs to know about this. I didn't even show my face. And the guy who I had a crush on at the time texted me because my email somehow notified his contact. And he was like, "Do you create this account?" And I was so embarrassed and so afraid that I lied and I said my sister created it.
oh, that's funny.
And that was my senior year of college. It wasn't
Mm,
for another 2 years that that voice kept saying you need to post on Instagram. And I was terrified still. But this time, because I ran away from that for 4 years and it just kept growing louder and louder, I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't tell my roommates. I didn't tell my family. I just said, I'm doing this for me because apparently it needs to happen. And I made my first official post on my actual account where everyone followed me, everyone that I knew. And it was so scary. It was like, I remember being terrified, like shaking. I turned my phone off afterwards and then I turned it on 20 minutes later. And I felt so much relief because, yes, I was met with positive responses, but also I'm sure a ton of people judged me for it. Um, but the relief was just finally taking the action. And that's
yeah.
actually the quickest way to move through anxiety and fear is action. It's because anxiety and fear is an energy, and if we take action, we're not giving it power. If we say, okay, fear, I hear you and I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to let you drive the car of my life, then we make fear more powerful. than our true self. Um, and once I finally took that step that was so scary, the next step was less scary. It was still scary. I remember the
Mm.
next step was to post me talking on my Instagram story. And I'm like, it was my first time hearing my voice really out loud. And, it just was still scary, but less scary. That took me like 2 days to move through rather than 4 years. And then the next thing and the next thing, then I was guided to move across the country and move and go out of the and then move out of the country. And it's like the time gap between feeling the fear and taking the action can get smaller because you realize fear is just a sensation. I'm not actually going to die. Like, I'm going to live. And life starts happening when I act with courage rather than hide in fear.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, one thing I've learned is you realize just how supported you are, right? That's
Mm.
when you step into that love and you think, yeah, I'm feeling the fear, but I'm going to step towards this because I love it and it's something that lights me up. That's when something will come in, or like, some support, or you'll see something, or something will go well, and it's just those little things that like the universe, it's all on your side. It's all guiding you, the
Yes. Yeah,
highest.
and we never know where that's going to lead us. Like
Mm.
back then, I was creating this whole story, this whole map that I was going to be this fitness influencer. But it took me 2 months since that first post to realize I don't want to teach fitness. I want to teach self-love. And then it turned to manifestation. And, so that can be another thing that can paralyze us is just trying to plan everything out. And then anyone who's ever done that knows once you start taking action, the plan changes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also it's that courage about just being able to shed identities and to shed stories. Because
Hmm.
there's people I know that are very, successful in one particular world, but they get stuck and locked into a story and identity. And it's very difficult for sometimes for them to jump out of that because, it might be a complete change from what they've been doing, like pivoting and things like that. So I think, yeah, I think it's amazing when I suppose you're sort of giving up control a little bit, aren't you? You,
Oh, fully.
yeah.
It's the greatest, like it's, what's that word that where it's like opposites are true? Do you know what I'm talking about? Not dichotomy, but um, I can't think of the word, but there's a word that describes when there are two truths and they're opposites.
Okay.
So anyway, when we want to control life, we actually have so much more influence over it when we let go of control. It's so wild, but it's true. Uh,
Paradox.
Paradox, yes.
Yeah.
It's a wild paradox where
Yeah.
we control life more when we learn to let go of control. It's wild.
Mm, mm. Because we're almost saying, I don't know. And yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what's best. Show me. I've asked that many times, that prayer, show me, guide me, use me. You know, I don't
Yes.
know. I thought I knew. My ego did.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
to
know,
me it feels like I know what I want. We all know what we want, and it's a feeling. And a lot of us want to feel love. We want to feel freedom. Freedom, and that relates to money, right? That's why people want money. They want freedom. Also, sometimes people want money because they want love. They want to show people their cool stuff so that they feel love, right? So love and freedom are like, and peace those three are like the main feelings people want to feel. And we can have that clarity without having to map out how we get there. We can align and embody those feelings before anything outside of us arrives. And then what we're doing when we give up control is we're inviting this higher intelligent field in, the field of intelligence, again, that knows how to create abundant, abundant, abundant nature. And it's perfect. Like if you look at a flower, it is literally perfect. It's symmetrical, the colors are perfect. It's amazing. And the divine has a plan like that for all of our lives. But when we're trying to control it through what we think, how we think it should be created, it's like we're completely unplugging from that divine. And God, universe, field is like, okay, go ahead, try to do it your way, but I'm right here. If you want to plug into me, and let me show you, you're actually going to have more control in the sense that you're going to get more to that freedom and that peace and that love by letting me guide you, letting this infinite intelligence that's millions of times smarter than our thinking brain guide you.
Yeah. And I wanted to chat with you a bit about that as well. You talk about God in your content, and I know that you're not specifically a Christian. Is that right? Do you want
Mhm.
to explain how you see God?
Yeah, this has been such an evolution on its own for me. And I see it in everyone else like it's an evolution. So how I feel now, I'm quite certain maybe I won't feel like it will keep evolving for me, but for this present day, um, when I was in grad school, I was over my roommate Shaylee and I were over our partying days. We didn't even have the time or energy to be hungover. Like we were too busy with grad school and work. So we were searching for things to do on the weekend with deeper meaning, and we decided to go to church. And I had some resistance, but also I was excited. Like I thought the pastor was hot. So we start going, and when the worship music is playing, I started to feel these chills in my body, these waves of energy in my body. And it flashed me back to being a child at church camp that I went to once, where I felt that feeling for the first time. And I just started crying. And it was like this feeling of love and peace that overtook me. And in that moment in church, it was interesting because I felt that feeling, but then certain teachings from the pastor I didn't click with. So it was this weird push and pull that a lot of people feel of like, I feel a calling, but also this isn't fully landing. And I just kind of let that be. But the sermon, one of the sermons was talking about giving your worries over to God. And I was like, huh, okay, I guess I'll try this out. I've never tried this before. And at the time, I was in intense anxiety, like with everything in my life. And I was about to graduate. I knew I didn't want to get my PhD. I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to sit at a desk. And I was like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I was obsessed over it, like stressing over it, so anxious. And after that sermon, I said, okay, I'm going to give this over to God, whatever that means. And when I said or thought that, it felt like relief in my heart. I didn't know how. I just was like, it felt like energetically, I just handed it, I like threw it out into the universe. And I felt this sense of relief. I'm like, okay. And then within the day, I had this aha moment. Why don't I move down to Georgia with my roommate and best friend at the time, Shaylee, who was already going there? A lot of our friends were down there, and I could get a job and we could be roommates while I figure out my life. So, boom, I give it over to God, and there's this like inspired action that feels good. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I start looking for jobs. And I'm like, maybe a personal training job. Even though I wasn't a certified personal trainer, I was big into fitness. I had taught all of these fitness classes. I was an exercise physiologist through my grad school program. And I find a job uh, right next to where she wanted to live. So I apply for it. And within 3 hours, they call me and hire me on the spot. And they gave me like the senior personal training position just because I was a certified exercise physiologist. They didn't even know I was never trained to be a personal trainer.
Wow.
Although, like in integrity, I felt like I could do it because I had studied it on my own and practiced it and taught it for so many years.
Yeah.
Uh, and boom, like within a day of giving it over to God, I found out where to go and I secured a job and I felt the relief and the magic. So that was this wild moment where I'm like, "Well, there's something here."
Hmm.
Fast forward when I started learning about energy, I kind of went atheist. I was like, oh, I was just working with energy. Like that's all that was. And I kind of was like, there is no God feeling because the word God really triggered me at the time. And then fast forward a bit more, just on this path, I just kept being guided. And um, I did a Reiki training once in 2020, um, where basically a friend and a client said, hey, there's this 2-day Reiki training this weekend. Do you want to do it? I'm like, what is Reiki? But sure. So I go and I do this training, and it was on Zoom. And if you know anything about Reiki, like usually that happens in person. I didn't know this at the time. So she goes to give us this transmission so that we can facilitate Reiki. I'm laying down, I'm like, I'm not going to feel anything. And I felt so much energy in my body. It felt like when I was singing worship, just waves of energy through my body. And I saw this image of this bright white, huge light, and then a bunch of little white lights. And I heard the Son of God. And, after that, I went on a walk during our break. I'm like, the Son of God, the Son of God. Like, what was that? Like, are they saying I'm the Son of God, but I'm a woman? And then it clicks within me. Um, the woman said that the Reiki was connected to Jesus, and it clicked within me. I said, the Son of God, like Jesus. And then I start feeling these waves of energy again. And to me, ever since that day, the angel and spirit of Jesus has been deeply connected to me. And even just saying the word Jesus right now, somehow in some way, I feel deep love and peace in my heart. Like it is this metaphysical experience where now I understand why Christians are so in love with Jesus because they must be feeling that. And before I could never understand it. I'm like, why are they so connected to Jesus? For me, I had to experience it and now I see it. Um, and yeah, so since then, it's kind of been this full circle of now I use like, to me, God isn't some man in the sky judging me. It's this intelligent field. It's the field that works through nature. It's synonymous with the infinite intelligence in the quantum field. And there's just something that feels very loving when I use the word God. Um, so yeah, that's kind of that relationship. And when it comes to religion, I just like studying them. Like I've studied Buddhism, I've studied so many different religions, and it fascinates me that so many people in the spiritual community um, will study all of those, but then get triggered around Christianity. So I've been like feeling called to lean into that and just understand like why do people believe what they believe and what do I believe and what feels true to me. And I feel no pressure or even desire to label myself. Like I'm so connected to something greater that I feel so chill about it. I'm like, I love this connection and I don't need that label. But still, I'm fascinated with the fact that if I'm feeling sad or anxious and I play and sing worship music, I start crying and I feel so much peace and love. Like there's something there.
Yeah, absolutely. I resonate so much of what you've said. I've been to church myself. I don't put labels on myself like you. I don't have that. Um, don't buy into all the teachings, but I believe that it's just tapping into that divine love, I think. And when you sing those worship songs, and I've sang in a gospel choir as well, it's like sometimes it's connecting to that source. And you can feel it in your heart, you can feel that love. And yeah, it gives you tingles, it gives you goosebumps, and you remember you remember home, I think that's what it is.
Mhm.
You're like, you get the taste of home, and you're like, that's our true nature. That's our true nature.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I'll leave it there unless there's anything else you'd like to share, Alicia.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll just share that if anyone's listening who feels disconnected or anxious or afraid, but you also feel guidance and you feel like there's more for you in this life, and follow that voice. Follow that voice because you are being guided, even just being guided to hear this conversation, like how divine. Um, because that means it's speaking to you, right? And yeah, I just really encourage you to follow that voice, and it's gonna take you where you're meant to be.
That's gorgeous. Yeah. And I'll just add to that, no matter what age you are, even if you're 80 and you think,
Yes.
I'm old and it's too late for me to make a change, and no, it's never too late if you've always got tomorrow. So,
And to this moment, you always
in
have
this
this
moment,
moment.
yeah.
Yes. 100%. I love that you said that. I don't know if you ever feel this, but to me, sometimes I'm like, I should have accomplished more by now. And that's such like a Western culture thing, right? And it's so lovely to take the pressure off and just be like, what about in this one present moment? Like, does that pressure even exist? It doesn't have to. Like, if I take in this one moment and I find gratitude and joy and connection, then life just feels kind of perfect without that future or past projection.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm sure people get a lot out of this conversation. I know I certainly have. It's been beautiful, uplifting,
Mhm.
inspiring. Where can people find you online?
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun. I'm so glad we finally made this happen. It's been a conversation in the making. And people can find me on Instagram at alesha.soul, alesha.soul. Also on TikTok, same handle. That's the best place to find me right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.